So excited. Hi, cutie pie.
Hey, we did it. We finally got it on.
Technology, yay.
Okay, so for anybody who's watching, I just wanted to introduce you. You're Nakimbe Baobab, and you're the founder and CEO of Mountain.
Yeah.
And just a little bit of backstory, I want everyone to know how I met you. In doing research for my living dress, I was thinking about doing a TED Talk. And so I went to a private TEDx event at UTSC, and I saw you across the room, and your hair was pink then. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk to this person. And so when I went across the room and I saw it and I started speaking with you, you just like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Oh my gosh. You were just, your poise and your composure and your presence was just so powerful. And then once you started to speak about having a vision, it was like, forget research. I have to go to this TEDx event and listen to you speak. And so last week was the event, and you were phenomenal. I loved you. You were so fantastic. So I wanted to share your message with some people. And for the TED Talk, the first thing that I found was very poignant. You outlined the difference between having goals and having visions, which I think is really powerful, because goals is once you get there, like, what happens, like what's next sort of thing. So your idea of having a vision is so brilliant. Can you please expound on that?
Yeah, sure. So I guess how this whole thing started is, over the years, my friends and I, we would set goals. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And let's say when we were 25 when this started, right? So let's say from 25 to 35, nothing much really happened. It was like, yeah, no, this is going to be my decade. I'm going to do it now. And then another 10 years passed, and I realized that I had accomplished a lot of the things that I wanted to, but some of my friends who we originally started out, wanting this whatever, didn't get there. So it made me curious, because I'm like, why? What's the difference with me and, other people? And I realized it's because I was working towards a vision. They just it seemed like they just had a goal. Like, I want to do this, I want to get this. And as I was saying in the talk, when you have a goal, it's something finite. Once you get it, it's done, right? And my example was be a lawyer, lose weight, get a girlfriend, get a boyfriend. But a vision is always unfolding, so you always have something to live up to. When I was at the University of Toronto as a student, I think my first year I took Psych 101, and that's when I learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the very top one it's self-actualization. Right? So I've been working towards self-actualization. That's a vision. It's not a thing. It's not a thing like, oh, I'm self-actualized now. It doesn't happen like that, right? But the steps that you have to take in order to get there is you set goals from that. Like, you get your goals that help you build the vision. And if you just have goals without a real vision, once you get it, you can have a sense of letdown. It's like, I got this. Now what? Or you goal hop, what I call goal hopping. And I find that because people are so attached to the thing that if the thing doesn't work out, they try something else. If that doesn't work out, they try something else. So they keep hopping from goal to goal to goal. Or another thing I say, they have floating goals, which are goals. Like, if you think about a piece of plywood and a string with goals to it, all those goals are stuck to like a plywood, which is your vision. And if you don't have that vision or that piece of plywood, for example, you just have all these floating goals that they don't really feed into anything. So that's sort of how I think about it, and that's how I've sort of managed to turn goals into feeding a bigger vision, which guides me and I think has sustained me, whereas some friends have fallen off.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I love the analogy of the wood and the dangling pieces of wood. That's brilliant. Yeah. So it's more about being part of the process. And that was the next thing that your talk struck me on, was that it's more of a continuum. It's like it's from the past and the present and the future, and it's fluid.
And I think I came to that realization because, as the poem said, I just, you're brought up in certain circumstances and you have certain influences, which made me become a certain type of person. And I didn't like it. It was causing a lot of pain and drama. And I didn't understand where it was coming from. It's not even about willpower. It's like, oh, I want to be different. I want to change. And that didn't really work. So I had to sit back and say, like, who am I really? And what are all the different pieces? And sometimes I don't know if I had time to talk about it in the TED Talk, but I talked about having a blind spot, which is something that is there and it's influencing you. It's present, but you can't see it. And I think
Oh,
you have to, yeah, you have to, it's really tough because you have to get feedback from people. You have to ask people, how am I? Like, what are my 5 best qualities? What are my 5 worst qualities? And you have to look at that and be sort of fierce with attacking it. And then you can sort of, like I said, deconstruct it. And, I realized that I was codependent. And then I realized why I was codependent. And I had to clean all of that up and then realize, oh, I was born into a situation that had a history. So that history, obviously, as a baby, plays into what I'm exposed to or how I see myself or how I define myself. And if that's your belief, you will create a vision out of that for yourself and live into that vision. So
yeah.
you have to take time to stop it and then to see, what you want your history to be like. Like I have a friend and all of the mothers in her family tend to have left. They all leave and they keep the children with the father. So there's deep psychological pain with that. And she had 2 girls when she was around 26, 28 and decided, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to stop this legacy of mothers leaving. And so now she's changed the whole trajectory of her lineage, right? And their
Yeah.
siblings, you can see that siblings will sort of carry on their parents' ways and carry that onto their children. But, there might be one child that's like, everyone else is zigging and I'm going to zag. So that's
Yeah.
the continuum. You have to really know yourself in order to see how you define yourself and then take what works and throw out the rest and then recreate yourself, which is, like you said, that word vision quest, which is what I did when I went to Japan. It's like, well, who am I when I'm not a mother, when I'm not a sister, when I'm not a daughter, when I'm not an employee, when I'm just by myself and there's no one to please or anything? Who am I? And I got a chance to discover that by being my own in a foreign country where I didn't know the language. I mean, it sort of really forces you to spend some time with yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, neat. That's beautiful. So you're taking all of this feedback and this information and this clarity, and it's helping you build the vision.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to, and sometimes, you have blurred vision or some people have rose colored glasses. You may not be seeing things clearly or properly. So you really have to sort of take them off, readjust them, and are there
Yeah.
stuff that are tinted? Why is it tinted? Who put the tint on? All sorts of things. And it takes some time, which is why I said this was like 10 years of unfolding. It doesn't happen
Yeah,
overnight.
no, overnight. It takes a while to build. Now, one of the things that I really, really loved during your talk was that you used, in addition to using all of this feedback and personal reflection and insight to develop your vision, you also had what you called affirmation cards.
Yeah.
And they were just little notes you wrote to yourself and then you laminated it. And
Yeah.
there was a couple of things that I absolutely loved about it was the fact that first you yourself, you wrote it, and there's like a lot of like psychological proof. And when you write it, it's like you're making a contract with yourself. And second of all, I love that you laminate it. Like this was a treasure and you're going to protect them. And
Oh,
then the third thing is that you kept each one. And
yeah.
like one by one, you're building them up. And as you're building your vision, you're building up these cards with your vision. And I just thought that was so powerful.
That is
So how many
possible.
cards do you have and how often do you write them and where do you get like the little inspirations from?
Oh my gosh. So
Wow, the
yeah,
stack is huge.
it is. It is.
Oh my gosh.
I could almost get emotional about it because it's so personal, right? It's so, but like I said, I realized, I don't know if you ever read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now,
Yes.
but in that book, he talks about the pain body, and I really resonated with it. I'm like, I'm living with this pain body. I didn't want to live
It
with
goes back to your youth, the hurts from your youth. Yeah.
it. Yeah. And so once I started seeing my life go in a certain way, I thought, wow, if I can help other people eliminate their pain and become the people they want to be, then we'll be happier. Because even though I don't experience that same pain anymore, I do remember it. It's like labor. You don't feel the pain anymore,
The
but you
ghost, the
remember.
shadow is still there.
Yeah, you remember it
Yeah.
was pretty painful. So basically how these started, and I only had 1 or 2 at first. I had always been in business. And I tried to, well, first let me say you're right about me writing it because there's this whole thing with reticular action.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this whole deep psychological scientific stuff to it, right? But I had been in business for a while and it just wasn't taking off like I had wanted it to. And I was meeting very successful people who told me, oh, it's because you don't love yourself very much. Or if you don't have money, it's because you don't believe you're worth it. And
Right.
I wanted to resist that. And I thought, no, I do like myself. I have high self-esteem. I have, but then I started to realize, well, maybe they're right, because if you're not attracting these things, maybe deep down inside, you don't feel worthy of love, or you don't feel like you deserve
The
financial
success.
success, right? So that was sort of the deconstruction part that I was explaining to you. So one of my very first affirmations, I don't know if I can find it, but it's like, I love me very much, I'm a good person, I'm a great person. Because I realized by the choices I was making, some of the relationships I was getting into as well, like, you clearly don't love yourself, because somebody who wouldn't put up with this or make these choices. So it's like, maybe you should look at it. So I wrote it out. I love me very much, I'm a good person, I'm a great person. And I would say that to myself in the mirror, right? So I mean, if you want,
Okay.
I can get into the affirmation science of this after, but I would say it in the mirror. And then looking at myself in the eyes, I would start to feel this like welling of emotion, and I would start to
Mhm.
cry as I'm
Oh
saying,
my God.
yeah, I'm like, I like me, I love me very much, I'm a good person, I'm a great person. I like me, I love me very much, I'm a good person, I'm a great person. I'll repeat it over and over. And then I was like, wow, how many of us actually tell ourselves that? We're always looking
Yeah.
for someone else. So I think that really started it, and it seeps into your subconscious, and we're influenced and bombarded by different marketing messages all the time.
You're not good enough. This is what you have to reach for, and this is who
Why
you
not
should
program
be.
yourself? Why not
Yeah.
program
It's basically it's positive brainwashing. You're brainwashing yourself in a sense, right? In the
it?
best possible way.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And, using different markers, using big fonts, and they're all, oh, let me show them to you. So they're all a little different. They all have different colors. Some of them are just
Oh, neat.
regular. So it's always different. I can shuffle them so it's not like the same repetitive stuff. Some of them just have words like commitment, confidence, discipline, integrity. I find what doesn't work with affirmations is saying things that your brain has resistance to. So it's like, I am wealthy, I am this, I am getting my mate. I believe in the power of I am,
Yeah.
but your brain also knows that part of that is not true. So sometimes
Yeah.
you have to put words that have no resistance to them. It's just, you're saying love, love,
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
love, or you're saying
Oh, that's
confidence,
beautiful.
confidence, confidence, confidence. So it's a whole mishmash and mixture of, the way that I've been able to do it. But yeah, I did laminate them. So that was the first one. I love me very much, I'm a good person, I'm a great person. And then the other one that I had was, well, you saw that other one, that I'm worthy of wealth, riches, and abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And
because
the
again,
story that you share in the TEDx talk. Yeah,
yeah,
that was fantastic.
yeah. And once I eliminated those things and, really did this, it happened. And I've been video recording, because I mentioned my web series, M Slice TV, which I haven't worked on in a while, but there's a video. So the reason I wrote that one card was because, again, I was dealing with white men, and they all had all this money, and I felt out of place, but I knew that I was worthy. So I was like, no, I'm worthy of love and success and all that stuff. And then I met one of the people, and I have a picture of it. I met him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting in a room with all of these, white multimillionaires, and they respect me. So
Nice.
created the card 10 years ago, and then I met the people a few years ago, and that was one of my first manifestations. And
Oh,
once
that must have been so like empowering for you. It's like, yeah.
yes, and the thing is, once you start to manifest on a little scale, and this is something, if we put up this video, when your manifestation happens, because I also had a spiritual advisor, and I was like, what do I do when these manifestations happen? Because you start to feel so powerful, it can feel so scary. She's like, just say thank you, just say
Oh,
thank you.
gratitude.
Yes. So once I started manifesting on a little scale, it just kept happening more and more and more. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff really works. And it's not just me saying it works, but you see videos of me 3 years ago saying, I want this, I want this. And then you see videos later on of it actually happening. So
Yeah. It's
that
the
was,
fulfillment of your vision.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So really creating myself. And well, you follow me on social media. So that girl who I was always wanted to be who I am
You
now.
are too.
And if I can help other people do that too, it's a really good and rewarding feeling. And like my dad, sometimes people pass away with a feeling of regret, or they didn't do this, or, and for me, I didn't want
You
ever
didn't
want,
want to do that.
no, I have a sense of urgency about living in life, and is like, I want to become who I want to become, and
Yeah,
did it.
that's
And
fantastic.
I think it's
Yeah.
pretty, not miraculous, but it's hard work, and not a lot of people do it. So I'm proud, and I hope I can share that message and inspire other people to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your message was, it was very, very inspiring. It was very, very empowering. I loved how honest and raw and vulnerable you were. And I loved it when you said, but now I'm a badass. That was so fantastic.
I actually, in my speech, because I mean, I had so many revisions of it, right? But when I was practicing in front of the directors, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that out because it sounds so, self-promoting and braggadocious. And they're like, no, we love it. They're like, no, it's empowering and claim it. And I was like, okay. So
Earned
a lot
it.
of fun. It was a lot of fun to say it out loud and have it be witnessed. I think is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I really loved your story. It was really amazing.
Thank you so much for that and your support. Just that means everything. I'm glad I had the impact that I was going for, which was
That's
inspiration.
that's neat. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Do you have any other questions, or is that it?
That's it. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, Brenda, I appreciate you. God bless, honey.
Take care.